I swear these Kendrick niggas just piss me off every fucking chance that's made available to them. So DJ Hed, infamously known as Kendrick's DJ, or one of Kendrick's DJ, went on the Rory and Mal show, and obviously everyone who knows, who's been part of the beef for the past year, knows that Mal's a supporter of Drake. Like, he's cool with Drake, he has a personal relationship with him. And DJ Hed on the opposite end has a relationship with Kendrick. And so Mal's castmate Rory thought it would be a good idea to kind of get these two guys to sit down, because they don't have any personal issues themselves, but they're on both sides of the fence, to kind of see where that debate would land. And this was an idea that they tossed up I think on last week's episode of the show, and yeah, they got it to happen pretty quick. And so yeah, he came on the podcast today, and they kind of debated. It wasn't really a debate, but discussed what happened during the battle, and just certain questions that people had, and they did their best to answer them. Well, I feel like Mal probably did his best to answer them. If you've seen DJ Hed's content, he's very evasive. He's very smart, he's very articulate, but he knows how to, he's good with, in terms of semantics, he knows how to play with words and kind of just be coy and just be play the fool a little bit, knowing damn well what he's doing. So yeah, I watched the whole interview, and a few clips kind of just stood out to me, because DJ Hed, he said that he's biased, and being that he has a relationship with Kendrick in his camp for the last 18 years or so, he said, yeah, no, he has a bias for sure, but he still says he's open to, open to arguments in terms of who won the battle. But he very adamantly says that, how can, I think he said on one episode of his show, he said something about how can you talk about who won a championship if the team already won, or something like that. I don't know, something of that nature, really, into basketball. But yeah, he came on the show today, and I was kind of watching the show, and a few moments kind of just kind of had me questioning, yo, what is this guy even trying to really say? Because the stuff that he's saying and this doesn't really align with what was actually happening in the beef at times, and the stuff that he's saying, some of the things didn't really align with reality, I guess. And there's a funny moment, he called Mal delusional during the episode, and I don't know, I feel like this guy's a little bit more delusional than Mal is. But let me go through a few of the clips that I kind of stood out to me. The first one, we'll start it right here.
I'm saying, in the sense of, at this point, you've already escalated things. So now you should probably understand that it's not a friendly fade. Again, I've explained this ad nauseum. A friendly.
Yeah, so he was talking about a friendly fade. So I'll
continue. Is for someone who you're friendly with. Or friendly fade, a fair one, we call it. A fair one is for the homie, we have a rapport, and we're gonna go eat after. We're gonna go outside, we're gonna run a fair one, and then we're gonna go eat. That's reserved for the homie. When you're quote unquote, opposition, an enemy, whatever the case may be, where how we came up, there are no fair ones. You get immediately eviscerated, you get packed.
So this is where it kind of turned me, it kind of, was weird to me. I'm speaking about this where he came up situation. If you know LA gang culture, you could have an enemy literally 2 blocks from you or a block from you, and you might have grown next to each other your whole childhood, but that's your enemy, that's your op. This thing that he says about fair one. So LA is the only place that I really know that still kind of holds fighting in terms of actual fighting with your hands to I guess the top level, they call it squabbling pretty much. And him saying that because specifically in LA County Jail, if you go okay, there's 2 gangs that are at odds with each other. So there's the neighborhood Crips, and there's the Hoovers. So say if a Hoover goes inside a dorm that's mostly neighborhood Crips, they're gonna have to basically fight. But the way the fight is set up, it's not everybody jumps the Hoover. It's they get a fight with each neighborhood Crip. So they might have like to do 5 fights, but they're gonna get 5 fair fights. Like they're gonna do 5 one-on-ones. It could be back to back. It could be at different times, but they're still gonna do 5 fights where it's like one-on-one. They're not gonna jump them. And I don't know, maybe in the streets it gets a little bit different, but the gang culture in LA is one of the only gang cultures that's really like structured in terms of OGs and younger G's, and I guess the people that are just starting out. So him saying that was kind of weird to me, because I'm like, how are you speaking on this in terms of, you know, Drake saying this and it not being a fair fight after, when your own culture that you come from is different from what you're saying. So he goes on in their interview, and you know, these are clips that kind of just stood out to me. And we get to this clip here.
Out. Then you get the response, which is the push-up record, and then this alleged conversation happens. It's like,
wordplay. But
long ago
initiates a battle.
That wasn't like that. That was the end of the verse.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is, if you look at it, to me, that's rap. That's not the same thing. Like if we're keeping this timeline that we're on right now, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas that song comes out, then you get the response, which is the push-up record, and then this alleged conversation happens. It's like, oh, this is a thing? All right, bet I'll be back. You don't get to dictate when I come back.
Nah, I mean, Hed is being political, and I respect that, but we all know it was a play.
What was a play?
Lucian had to have a meeting about what was.
So I think here they were talking about like how long Kendrick took to respond. And you'll see it, like if you go and watch the interview, on their channel, he keeps saying Drake was the aggressor. Drake was the aggressor. When, if everyone remembers, Kendrick was literally the first person that dropped the verse on Like That with Future and Metro, basically coming at Drake. And it was just weird to me, because it's like, how can you call Drake the aggressor when the song came out, Like That came out? Drake was literally just getting off a tour. He was still on tour, actually. And people were getting at Drake for not responding as quick, because I think the reason why people got to that point where they were getting at Drake is because J. Cole responded initially, like within a couple days, I think, of them getting off tour. And then literally the next day, J. Cole apologized. And then so people kind of put the pressure on Drake to kind of say, all right, it's your turn now. Like, you got to say something. When, truth be told, and I've said this before, if J. Cole would have just shut up, Drake probably would have never really responded, because he was just saying like, all right, the song, we know you have songs in the tuck ready to diss. So it's like, just drop those songs instead of kind of just like throwing, it's not subtle shots, but it's not like direct. Like, it's still up for interpretation. So him saying that Like That wasn't the first shot, it doesn't make any sense. Like, push-ups could not be, push-ups is a response to Like That. If Kendrick never dropped Like That, push-ups would have never came out. So how can that be the initial song that started off the beef if it was a response to something someone else said? So basically J. Cole would have just been out of nowhere just dissing Kendrick, like without a response to anything. So him just saying that, like, it further kind of proves that it's like, all right, some of these guys have such a bias, and they try to hide it, but they have such a bias. It's just like, they say certain things and they believe it so much. And you know, Maul has a bias too. I'm not gonna say he doesn't. He has a bias too. But DJ Hed specifically, he has his bias, and the way he kind of words things, he kind of just makes it seem like, you know, he manipulates the conversation kind of. So the next clip that I saw, and I gotta go back over this, because it kind of
what was gonna happen, how it was gonna happen.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know that for a fact?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
well,
also,
Hed, do you not see that could be something that would happen?
No,
in the building.
That's not
after we've engaged. Like That has come out and pushed up.
So I think they were referring to like the after the wait, why Kendrick waited so long. Like maybe it was to kind of like, you know, get together and kind of form a plan before dropping his next song.
Hold on, Rory. Not to cut you off. As a moderator, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead. I want to shut up.
You don't think that there was no talks with anybody at Universal about what Kendrick was about to do at any point in this battle? You don't think that Kendrick had a conversation with anybody about his plans, what he was going to do, how they wanted to do it? You think all of this was just Kendrick with his whoever he's in the studio with, and they were deciding what they wanted to do? You think he didn't have a single conversation with the label?
Do I think that? I don't think so.
And see, like, this is what he kind of does. Like, he kind of just tries to play stupid. Like, this is, even if this is all hypothetical, like, do you think that there's a possibility that this happened? Yes, of course there's a possibility. If someone sends a shot at you and then you kind of like respond to them, and then they take half a month for them to even respond back to you, clearly that person is planning something. And that was one of the things people kept saying about the pre-recorded diss tracks. Like, clearly that whole time that he's, because what at that point, like, even though we don't know their lives, we know Drake just came off of a tour. What was Kendrick doing? Because he hadn't dropped an album since, I think, 2023 at that point. So what was Kendrick really doing for him to not be able to respond? And he's the first one that popped it off.
You don't think he had one conversation?
I don't think so.
All right.
Okay. Once Euphoria drops,
so yeah, that was part of that was the conversation at that point. Basically him just saying, no, I don't think this happened. And it's like, all right, at that point you can't really pry that much because he's just giving you like I guess you could say a cold shoulder in terms of like the response, but that, like, this whole debate was kind of the same way. Like, when it's a question that's actually a good question, he kind of just like shrugs it off and kind of just says, I don't know, or I wasn't there kind of thing. The next clip that, let's see here. The next clip that we're going to look at is, I think it had something to do with Drake's the daughter.
You know what I'm saying? So if you think about it,
like that, he aggressed. What are you talking about?
If you think about it, when you say, like the Dave Free thing came first in Family Matters.
Correct, yeah.
And then there was a response. And then the other thing came. It wasn't like, it's like, oh, okay, boom, boom. It was like a 1-for-1 to me.
Okay, so you are, and I'm asking, because we think that the Dave Free line was a lie, that gave Kendrick also a green light to lie about the daughter. Hypothetically, because we do not know these people and their personal lives like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure.
So you don't get a point taken away if you do a whole third verse about something that's completely unproven and possibly fed as information to you to give you the okie doke.
Well, no, okay, let's do it this way. Let's take it out. Let's take the whole verse out.
Okay.
There's a record still.
I love the record. I love the record.
Which record is this?
Meet the Grams.
I don't like.
And this is something Kendrick fans have been doing. Like, they just skate by this daughter thing where it's just like, he didn't have, just like Rory just said, a whole verse saying you had another daughter. And he thought that was going to be the kill shot. And once he kind of realized that wasn't a kill shot, that's when he's like, all right, we got to take this to the next level.
I don't like the record.
Okay.
At all, on no level. I've listened to it a total of maybe 5 times. And I told him that I don't like the record.
What don't you like about it?
It's too fucking, it's dark. And it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I'm a jovial, like, I'm a nerd and I'm like cerebral, but I'm a jovial individual. I have good positive frequencies. I don't like that shit. I don't like the depth and dark, like, shit. That ain't my bag. So I told him that. That's like my least favorite record out of everything.
Maul, do you think Meet the Grams, even based off your opinion of the record, because even Hed said he doesn't really like.
Yeah, so no, there's just them trying to like skate by this daughter thing. It's like, bro, Kendrick doesn't even perform Meet the Grams, I don't think, at his tour shows anymore because of that situation. It's like everybody just kind of brushes it under the rug. Yeah, Drake had stuff that, he alleged as well, and that has been proven, but I feel like people get on Drake more than they do on Kendrick for the missteps and the beef. The next one, I think this is where he talked more in depth about the aggressor point. Let's see.
Not a different result. It'd be more even kill though.
So it's a different result.
Not a different result. It'd be more even kill though.
So it's a different result.
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean, no, Hed? What are you talking about? You said it will be more even killed, so that's a different result than what it is now, because the result now is that it's not even killed.
No, the journey would be more even killed, not the...
And they were talking about here, I think, would the result or the perceived result of the beef be different if social media wasn't involved? And he said, basically, I don't think it would be different, but I think it would be different, which is, that's literally what he said. I don't think it would be different, but I think it would be different. And it's just like, bro, this is just a word sandwich at this point.
Not the written result.
All right, well, you just changed what you just said. You said the journey. Now.
Well, I was talking about...
Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, so the end result would be the same if social media didn't exist, but also if social media didn't exist, that would have
All the taunting and memeing he's talking about is basically after Kendrick. Like, you can't just skate over the fact that Kendrick had that verse and he was saying, F the big three, it's just big me. And for all your dogs getting buried. Like, you can't skate by it. How can Drake be the aggressor if somebody says that? And if Drake didn't respond in any capacity, it would have been like, all right, Drake's a punk because Kendrick called him out, and he didn't do anything. I still bring this back to J. Cole even taking a stance of like responding and then apologizing a day later, because it kind of like messed up the trajectory of the whole beef, in my opinion.
Media manager,
get that nigga. Yeah. Get that nigga.
Yeah, they were doing it. So it's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Well, can I stop you? I don't know if he's aggressor after the Like That verse started everything, but
that's the way Hed trying to paint it, man.
Yep.
I'm not
Kendrick
trying to.
Lamar was the aggressor.
Drake was on tour. How was he the
That's a
aggressor?
fact. I'm not trying to. I'm not.
The number one song.
And so he kind of goes on to say, "Oh, well, he was the aggressor."
J. Cole is bigging this guy up on the record with Drake. Put him in the big three. He was part of the big three, according to J. Cole, because Drake never felt like that. Again, but according to J. Cole, yeah.
You're talking about things that play out in public. I'm not saying anything. I'm just.
So he just said how Drake and Maul were memeing and doing all this stuff. But now he's talking about things that play out in public, and he's talking about things that nobody knows what happened behind the scenes. We can only speak on what we've seen in front of our eyes. So if that's the case, like, how can Drake be the aggressor in anything if you guys, or if you don't want to speak on what would have made Drake the aggressor? Let's go to this last clip here.
Most people.
Okay.
I come from radio. The average listener don't give a fuck. They just want to hear a popping ass song.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like on YouTube. If you like, y'all have a pod. If you do a YouTube, you might see, 50% or 48% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel.
Right.
Right. It's just passive consumption. So I don't think it's personal if LeBron or this person goes to the fucking concert, bro. Like, it's a concert that they want to go be at, and they want to have a good time. I don't look at it as me saying fuck you. It's just like, this is a concert I want to be at.
Yeah, but then
and this was a big thing too with the narrative in terms of like all the people that turned against Drake, especially LeBron. Like, how, like, I don't know how people don't understand, or people like him don't understand. Like, oh yeah, no, it's not just music. Like, these are people that I had relationships with. LeBron specifically, this is someone that Drake has been close with since 2009. That's 16, 17 years ago almost, I think. And for you to say, oh, it's just music. It's not just music. This is music calling someone a PDF. One of the worst things you could probably call someone. And your friend, or your perceived friend that you've known for sure since 2009, and I guarantee he's known Drake before Kendrick and has a stronger relationship with Drake than Kendrick. Matter of fact, he was just on Drake's tour the year before, I think, if I'm not mistaken, after Bronny had his heart surgery, or his heart scare, and he walked out with Bronny and LeBron at the LA show. So you have someone like this versus someone like Kendrick, who LeBron hasn't really been seen with, but obviously they know they have some sort of relationship. Drake has done interviews for LeBron's show. Drake has donated $1 million to LeBron's school. Like, Drake has done a bunch of stuff for LeBron. And then you expect him to not feel any type of way about seeing you at a show that's basically calling him a PDF.
Then y'all was mad that Game wasn't there.
I was mad with
not Hugh, but a lot of people from the West Coast,
and that's true too. A lot of people from the West Coast were angry about like Game not showing up to the concert. And Game, having a relationship with Drake, basically said like, that's my brother. Like, I'm not gonna show up to a situation where, even if I have a relationship with both, and like I said before, like, if you have a relationship with both people, I don't care how strong the relationship is. If that's the case, stay neutral, stay out of it. You don't have to be like, I don't remember ever seeing LeBron sing Family Matters, but LeBron has been seen singing Not Like Us and doing a bunch of like stupid stuff, So if you have that relationship with both of them, like I'm all saying here, just stay neutral, stay out of it. Like, you don't have to speak about it.
A lot of artists, they They, you know, kind of gave Game some heat online, like he wasn't there. He didn't show support for the West Coast and all of the artists collectively coming together and having a beautiful moment.
Who gave him heat online?
Everybody. Game addressed it.
I think these were all that's most of the stuff that I saw. They talked about other stuff for the rest of the episode, but truth be told, like this was an interesting debate. It was a hard listen in terms of like DJ Hed. Obviously everyone's gonna say Maul's delusional, but the way he kind of like deflected and kind of just like shoulder rolled a lot of these questions, it was just like, all right, you can't even really consider this a debate if this guy's not gonna be honest. And everything Maul really said before, from all the viral clips that he said today. So it's just like, you know, what's the point of even trying to have a conversation with it if one person's gonna kind of be like this and the other person's gonna be open? But it was a good episode nonetheless. You guys should go and check it out. It was 2 hours, 18 minutes, good content. But yeah, no, that I don't know. I just feel a way about seeing certain people speak about the beef in a certain light, and kind of just not being able to, even if they claim they're not biased, kind of not being able to see certain sides in terms of missteps or mistakes and timelines and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think if you guys watch the interview or if you watch the clips. You guys think DJ Hed won that debate or Maul won the debate, or if it was like a stalemate, or, you know, whatever. I honestly don't know if anyone really won the debate, but it was a good conversation for them to have. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, until the next one.